The champagne bubbles still danced on my tongue as I watched my new wife, Emma, twirl on the dance floor. Our wedding day had been everything I dreamed of. Sunshine, laughter, and the promise of forever. As the reception wound down, I felt a surge of pure happiness. Emma was my soulmate, my best friend, my future. Time for the best man speech, someone called out. I smiled as my best friend Mark stood up. We'd been inseparable since college, surviving exams, breakups, and career changes together. He was the brother I never had, and I was thrilled he'd agreed to be my best man. To David and Emma, Mark began, raising his glass. May your love grow stronger with each passing day. Dave, you found an incredible woman, and I couldn't be happier for you both. His eyes met Emma's, and I noticed a flicker of something admiration, maybe. I dismissed it as wedding sentimentality. As the night ended, guests began to depart. Emma whispered she needed to freshen up before our drive to the honeymoon suite. Mark offered to help clean up, insisting I go ahead and get the car ready. Are you sure? I asked, already exhausted from the day's emotions. Absolutely, Mark grinned. Go get your bride. I'll handle this. I kissed Emma's cheek. I'll be waiting at the car, love. That was the last moment of my life that made sense. 40 minutes later, Emma still hadn't emerged from the venue. Concerned, I went back inside. The main hall was dark, but a light shone from the bridal suite upstairs. I climbed the stairs, calling her name softly. What I saw through the slightly ajar door stopped my heart. Emma and Mark were tangled in the sheets of the bridal suite bed, their clothes discarded on the floor. The wedding dress I'd watched her walk down the aisle in hours earlier was draped over a chair. Didn't make a sound. I just stood there, frozen, as my world shattered into a million pieces. The laughter from our reception, the vows we'd exchanged, the years of friendship with Mark, it all became a cruel joke. Finally, I pushed the door open. They scrambled apart, Emma clutching the sheet to her chest, Mark sitting up with wide eyes. David, Emma started, her voice trembling. How long? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. It's not what you think, Mark began. How long? I repeated louder this time. Emma looked down at her hands. Since your bachelor party. The bachelor party. 3 weeks ago. Mark had organized it. They'd both been there. I laughed then, a hollow, broken sound. So the whole wedding, the vows, all of it was a lie. No, Emma cried. I love you, David. This was a mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake. A mistake? I stepped closer, my anger finally boiling over. You sleep with my best friend on our wedding night, and you call it a mistake? It just happened, Mark said, avoiding my eyes. We were drinking, talking about the wedding. And one thing led to another, one thing led to another. I turned to him, my vision blurring with rage. You were supposed to be my best friend. You stood up there and gave a toast about our love while you were planning to sleep with my wife? I didn't plan it, Mark insisted. It was spontaneous. Get out, I said, my voice dropping to a deadly whisper. David, please, Emma reached for me. Both of you. Get out, now. They dressed quickly, avoiding my gaze. As they left, Emma tried to touch my arm. I flinched away. Don't ever contact me again, I told her. Either of you. The next days passed in a haze of pain and disbelief. I stayed in a hotel, ignoring calls from both Emma and Mark. My parents were frantic, worried when I didn't show up for our post-wedding brunch. When I finally spoke to them, I told them everything. My mother cried. My father was silent for a long time before asking what I planned to do. I want an annulment, I said firmly. Are you sure, son? My father asked gently. Marriage is sacred. Maybe you should try counseling. Dad, she slept with my best friend hours after we said our vows. There's no coming back from that. I contacted a lawyer the next day. She explained that annulment would be challenging since we had consummated the marriage before the reception. I confirmed bitterly, but fraud might be grounds. Emma had married me under false pretenses, never intending to be faithful. As word spread, reactions were mixed. Some friends and family were supportive, understanding my decisions. Others thought I was overreacting. It was one mistake Emma's sister told me when she called. Emma loves you. Can't you forgive her? Forgive her for what? I asked. For the betrayal? For the humiliation? For destroying 2 relationships in one night? Marriage is about working through problems, she insisted. You're throwing away something beautiful because of one night. One night that happened to be our wedding night, I corrected her. With my best friend. There's no coming back from that. Mark's mother called, crying. He's destroyed, David. He knows he made a terrible mistake. He's lost his best friend and his honor. He knew exactly what he was doing, I said coldly. So did she. The hardest part was explaining it to our younger siblings. Emma's little brother looked at me with confusion. But you love each other. Why can't you just fix it? How do you explain to a 15-year-old that the foundation of trust has been obliterated, that every promise made on our wedding day was now a mockery. 3 weeks after the wedding, I filed for annulment. Emma contested it, asking for a divorce instead, which would require dividing assets and potentially spousal support. She's trying to drag this out, my lawyer warned. Make it more painful. I don't care, I said. I want this marriage erased, like it never happened. The court proceedings were brutal. Emma testified that she loved me, that it was a moment of weakness fueled by alcohol and wedding stress. Mark admitted his guilt, calling himself the worst friend imaginable. When it was my turn to testify, I kept it simple. I entered into this marriage in good faith, believing my wife and best friend were people of honor. They betrayed me in the most painful way possible, on what should have been the happiest day of my life. There is no marriage to save because it was based on lies from the moment she said I do, while planning to be with someone else. The judge granted the annulment, citing fraud as Emma had never intended to honor her marital vows. Afterward, Emma cornered me in the hallway. Was it really necessary to humiliate me like that? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Humiliate you? I stared at her in disbelief. You slept with my best friend on our wedding night. How much more humiliation could you possibly inflict? I made a mistake, she whispered. A terrible, stupid mistake. But I do love you. I always have. Love doesn't look like that, Emma, I said, feeling nothing but exhaustion. Love doesn't betray you on the most important day of your life, with the person you trusted most. As I walked away, I saw Mark standing at the end of the hall. He looked older, broken. I'm sorry, Dave, he said when I approached. There's no excuse for what I did. I destroyed our friendship, and I destroyed your marriage. I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I nodded. I know you will, but sorry doesn't fix this. Will you ever forgive me? He asked, his voice cracking. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe someday. But I'll never forget. 6 months later, I'm still rebuilding. I moved to a new city, started a new job. I go to therapy to work through the betrayal. Some days are better than others. People still ask if I did the right thing. It was one mistake, they say. Everyone deserves a second chance. Maybe they're right, but some betrayals cut too deep. Some wounds can't be healed with apologies or promises to do better. When the person you trust most in the world and the person you pledged your life to both betray you in the most intimate way possible, there's no going back. So, AITA for seeking an annulment instead of trying to work through it? Maybe I should have been more forgiving, more understanding of human weakness. But when trust is shattered so completely, when the foundation of your marriage is built on lies, sometimes the only way forward is to erase it entirely and start over, alone.